failure is always a possibility. You have to know that, okay? You can't be naive in knowing that, hey, I'm going to go and it's going to happen. No, do you have a chance of it not working? Yes, but what is bigger, your fear of failure or your aspirations of success?
Peace and power. Welcome back to the series, The Do's and Don'ts, what we did right and what we did wrong. My name is True Khepra.
And I'm Mack and Bonnet.
And collectively, we are Raw Success.
Yes.
The podcast to empower you to be the best version of yourself. Yo, we truly care, man. Real talk. All right, my brother. What we did right in our 20s. Let's talk about it. You want me to go first?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
I think you went first last time.
All right.
Pardon me. Bro, I always tell people one of the smartest things I did in my 20s is go to college. Man, go to college. But before I say that, I really have to say, I struggled in school. And it's crazy. Like, even now, I don't want to toot my own horn, but, people call me a smart man, smart guy. And it's funny. I sometimes chuckle to myself because I know how much I struggled in school. In high school, I was in the slow classes. I was in the slow classes in high school. You know what I mean? I was a C, D student. It was, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even graduate on time. They sent my high school diploma home. I didn't get to walk the lawn. You know what I'm saying? Damn, they got left back. I was like, nah, I can't get left back. I just graduated late. And so, eventually, I was living a life, in the streets and everything like that, caught a big charge. And I was like, yo, I got to do something with my life. That's really, I don't know. Like, I know people that go back and forth to jail. That's not me. I call, one charge, one big charge. I was like, it's over.
Like, this ain't it.
Yeah, this ain't it. You know what I mean? But, going to school was definitely the smartest thing I've done. And not just because of the sake of what the degree did for me. The obvious stuff is that the degree, gave me a career path. It gave me skill set. It allowed me to change the trajectory of my life and my family's life. Also to be an example to them, right? But it also, that process, what it did for me is just the whole process that it took, becoming a student that eventually ended up graduating top of his class. That's right, barely made it out of high school. But when it came to college, I graduated top of my class, honors, all of that. And so, but it took something. It took something from me. And I benefited from that process of, action management, what people call time management, because I was going to school during the day, but hustling at night. You get what I'm saying? So, I was in tutoring every day because when I signed up for college, I had to take remedial courses because my basic skills were at the bottom, so, that humbling, and really fighting, I felt like I had something to prove, not only to myself, for my mother, but also for the world, because I wanted them to know that a young man from Patterson that comes from the world that I come from, shout out to 10th Ave, East 23rd, and was living in, a life of crime, can transform his life, can do something positive with his life. And not only just do it, but like do it top tier, the way I did. So yeah, just the whole process, also the networking. And in the video that we did about the wrongs, or what you would have changed as far as college, your experience in college, you mentioned networking.
Yes.
And in my notes, you'll see networking with people I normally wouldn't meet. So even that, just meeting people and that character development, being comfortable with people that I normally wouldn't associate with, who look different, speak different, don't come from my world. I mean, just going to school, it provided so much for me. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, so one of the things that I did right in my 20s was really embarking on the journey. And it's a journey because it's still ongoing, the journey of who I am. okay, as a person, as a culture, as a black man, just really the activism, the standing, in front of some of the greatest teachers that we've had during the time, people like Dr. Yosef Ben. And
heavy hitter.
yeah, it's just so many heavy hitters, and just really delving into that to know what it means to be of African descent and getting to the core, because I didn't really learn about that as much in my teens and growing up in school. I started reading a little bit more later on in my teen years, but as far as going to museums and going to lectures and just having different just joining different organizations, that really helped set the foundation on who I am as a person today. So definitely glad that that was part of my 20s, because it's still something that I stand firm on today. And although I may not be as active within, I guess you'll call it the Afrocentric, African-centered movement, they still laid a particular foundation for me where, I still want to make sure that I'm always a good representation of what it is and what it means to be a black man.
Indeed. And I'll say to you, my brother, that you are still active by the mere fact of you existing the way you exist and what you're up to. Not just with the type of father and husband that you are, but just, as an entrepreneur and the mentees, that you have, and just, your ability to communicate ideas with everyone that you encounter, because I've seen you in action. So you still are active, just maybe in a more indirect way.
That's true.
So to speak, just who you are, which is how you started the conversation.
Yes.
My second one is no more criminal activity in my 20s. That's it. It was a wrap. It was a long journey. I've been getting in trouble since I was a child and all the way up until adulthood. But in my 20s is when I really said, that's it. It's over. And man, raw success is something I just want to bring up in connection to that. Us here in Raw Success, we're not about like gossip and things of that nature, right? So, but I do want to discuss something. I don't know if I should say the name, bro. Let me just say it like this. Allegedly, there's a man from where I'm from Patterson, that has been scamming people. Actually, you're a real estate agent connected to real estate.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
I'm purposely not saying the person's name, okay? Not that I'm scared or anything like that. I'm purposely, strategically not saying the person's name.
We all know who.
Yeah. So allegedly, that's what they're saying. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people who are speaking against that is, well, what do you expect? He was a criminal. He went on radio stations. He told you he was a criminal. He told you what he went to jail for. All of this and all of that, right? And I just think it's totally unfair. And I mean, they say life isn't fair anyway. For men and women like me who do have a past in criminal activity and transformed our lives and really left that life behind us and are contributing into society in a positive way and so forth, I think it's unfair that people may start to then question a person who has a past just because of an individual like him, if it's true, who has a past and continued on even in the quote unquote legal path, which it's real estate, I would say. Yeah, I just think that that's whack. It's unfair. And just how I said that you are a representation of the movement just by your mere existence, listen, man, you're a representation of those of us who left that past behind us And when you continue in those activities, you're making us look bad. You know, because that's why people don't want to give people who transformed their lives but got record jobs and opportunities because of that. So I just think that this is whack, man. Yeah. Anyhow, that's my number 2. No more criminal activity. Yeah. It's time. It's over. And I chose that and decided that in my 20s, mid-20s to be exact.
That's dope. We're all glad that, you know, you decided to change your life around because, you know, as they say, that lifestyle only leads to prison or death.
Indeed.
You know, so I'm glad that, you know, you made that decision and, you know, just the man and the role model that you are today. So that's definitely dope.
Appreciate you.
Something else that I did right in my 20s was really taking action on my entrepreneurial aspirations. I had started a couple of businesses in my 20s. Unfortunately, you know, because of growth, failure is one of the things that come with it. And failure is not to say that the individual is a failure, but you may have done some put up some businesses that just didn't work. It wasn't your time for that business. That business didn't align well with your attributes, you know. So I definitely started off, and some of those businesses just didn't work out. But it put something in me, knowing that I could do more. Right. You know, that I carried over to my later years in life, and now I'm full-time entrepreneur, and I've learned from some of those mistakes that I did in the past. So starting off a business and learning more about residual income was definitely one thing that I'm glad I did.
You know, that's dope. You know, tell me if you were impacted this way. So you're a full-time entrepreneur. I'm a part-time entrepreneur. And so one of the things that really opened my eyes up to the possibilities of entrepreneur is like, so having a job and getting paid a set amount for an hour. Okay, cool. And then experiencing doing, let's say, like less than an hour worth of work through entrepreneurship and getting paid literally quadruple that. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, oh, this is the life. All right, I get it now. I get it. Like, and it messed me up. Like, to the, you know, I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still in a journey. No, it didn't mess me up. Excuse me. I should say it opened my eyes up, because I'm realizing like just my paradigm shifted to what an hourly rate is. Like, what does that really mean? Like locked into $20 an hour, when like I've experienced, and this is not me flexing, this is real talk here at Raw Success. That's what we do. It's about real talk. $150 an hour for basic work. Like, you know what I mean? When I say basic, man, I don't want to get into the specifics on purpose, but just I mean, not sweating. Like some signatures on a piece of paper, $150 in my pocket. And so I was really like, wow, did I just really make $150 just signing my name and you know, like, just amazing. So did you experience that as an entrepreneur? Like, did your paradigm shift when you realized like, wow, like what that means, the hourly rate, monthly?
Yes, it definitely did. But, you know, one thing, if we're going to be completely honest, which of course you're always going to get from us.
Absolutely.
It's sometimes the opposite.
Ah, there we go. You know, bro. You want to talk about my debt right now? Like,
well,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yes, granted, as an entrepreneur, sometimes, you know, you'll have that big sale, and it might be a commission of $20,000 that you just made. Okay, and you know, you have 3 or 4 of those. You're making what some people make a year. You know, so it's very, you know, it's very great in that aspect. But the aspect that is not talked about enough is those 2, 3, 4 months without a sale, and you have credit card debt up to here. You know, so no, I'm very grateful to be at a position in my in my business where it is definitely a lot more fluid, a lot more continuous. But yeah, it's not always like that. Sometimes, you have to save for a rainy day as an entrepreneur.
Indeed. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you brought in that perspective.
Yeah,
The alkaline and acidic perspective. We need both.
I remember, and we will get right back to the do's and don'ts.
Bills, bro.
I remember you, me, and our good brother Bernard.
Yes.
Bernard,
peace.
sitting and building, and at that table you had. And this was after Bernard had closed on his house.
Right.
And Bernard, he's not self-employed. He works. He has a great job.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then he just bought the property. Me, I was his realtor in the transaction, and you were the notary in that transaction. Right. So we have three friends that all three played a different part.
Such a beautiful thing.
And we all received, some type of asset or check from that. Right. So, and in that discussion, it was like you as the notary made, what you made for it.
Right.
But as a notary, you have a lot more of those coming in every day or every week.
Right.
And me as the realtor, I made what I made.
Right.
But even though my check may have been bigger in that aspect,
much bigger.
It's not. I'm not doing one deal every day, or 3-4 deals.
I may have 5 signings in a day.
In a day, exactly, and I might have that one closing in that month.
Right.
And
so don't lose your thought.
Yes.
And I don't know if you were going to add this also to the risk and reward. So your check is bigger, but you've also had a bigger risk.
100%.
And spent more time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you had our brother Bernard, who, he purchased the asset.
Right.
But, and with him, he used his employment to do so. That's right. So it's just 3 different ways in looking at life. And, one thing that we do with Raw Success is we're never going to shame anybody's method of making money.
Absolutely.
So whether you're self-employed, whether you work a 9-to-5, whatever, or whether you're just a full-time investor, just have your money in assets that's gaining, it doesn't matter what that is, it's honorable nonetheless, and it's all means to reaching your goals.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. And I just want to add this too, man. It's a beautiful thing that you got three brothers, right? One from Haiti, one Dominican, myself, and brother Bernard is Guyanese, and so you see the unity aspect,
100%.
Just discussing, Marcus Garvey and his vision about uniting us. And I think it's just a beautiful thing that, we were able to come together as men, as brothers from different parts of the world and make that happen, make money together. We had a nice dinner. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, that was a dope experience for sure.
So speaking of which, perfect segue, which is crazy. My third right to do is I bought properties. Word up, it's right here. Bought properties. Yo, him and I don't talk before we do these. This is not planned. It's like we have an assignment. Yo, don't forget your 3 to-dos. Your 3 do's, and I'll get to mine. And then we discuss it when we get here.
Yes.
But this is the synchronicity. So yeah, just buying the properties, man. Besides the obvious, right? Financial and all of that. We already know that. But you got to think about what it took. I had 2 properties before I was 25, before the age of 25. So think about that. Think about what it took for me to get there in terms of saving money, in terms of being disciplined, and, just a young man entering the world, and just, so I would say, again, besides the obvious, just having assets, the lessons and the character development, I had tenants, so just I'm in my early 20s and I'm a landlord already. I'm dealing with a tenant, one of my tenants was old enough to be my mother, and she had 2 sons. And, just that whole process, what they say is not about the destination, it's about the journey. Mm-hmm. That's not just a corny saying. You got to realize that it's who you need to become while you're winning, while you're dealing with the failures, i.e. lessons, failure is just feedback, of what you need to do differently. And so I would say definitely buying the properties, what it did for my family. I felt proud as a man, knowing that I can say and tell them that this is property that we own. This is daddy's,
It's dope.
Yeah. Oh, and in addition to that too, we used the space to start a youth program, which is very impactful in the community. So yeah,
That's dope.
that's what it is.
That's dope. Yeah. So the last thing that I did right in my 20s is going into actually before entrepreneurial full time, but it was with my work being open to opportunities for growth with my jobs actually at the time. So from being just a salesperson to actually growing and being given the opportunity to manage the store, I was glad that I believed in myself enough to take on that responsibility. Because sometimes we get opportunities presented to us and we miss out on those opportunities because of the fear
Right.
that we may have of failure or the fear of responsibility.
Right.
And luckily I took that position, and it was different ones, but the main one that I'm thinking is when I was at the bookstore and I was, given that promotion. But not only did I take that and went with it, but I also kept it in the back of my mind that using this as an opportunity to still continue to grow. So as a manager at a bookstore, I ended up deeper into my love of reading. It was so much so that everybody that seen me at the airport would always see me with a book in my hand every single moment, and just learning on so many different books that I may not have picked up if I weren't at a bookstore.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a great experience. Just believing in myself in the 20s to grow.
So let me ask you, I have two questions actually. What suggestion do you have for someone who may be experiencing self-doubt or fear and may not be taking advantage of those opportunities to move up?
So
Like the obvious thing is like be courageous, right? But what does that really mean?
yeah, so I mean it comes with just, I hate to say risk, but that is what it is. Failure is always a possibility. You have to know that. Okay, you can't be naive in knowing that, hey, I'm gonna go and it's gonna happen. No, do you have a chance of it not working? Yes, but what is bigger, your fear of failure or your aspirations of success? If you fear failure more than you want to strive for success, you're never going to do it. But if you really have a yearning, a burning desire, as Napoleon Hill would put, to succeed in life, you're going to make it happen.
Right. And so my second question is, how was it like dealing with the discomfort of managing the people who maybe knew you just as a salesman, and now you're their boss?
That's a great question.
So how was that?
Yeah, so it luckily I was well liked as a manager, and the people, my employees that seen me go from one position to the next, they wanted to see me succeed just as much as I wanted to succeed. So they made sure to always keep our store in the best of light.
They were rooting for you.
They were rooting. And, I'm still grateful to all of them, to this day, that we were able to just take that bookstore and continue to be one of the top performing bookstores in in the airport and in the region. We were given plenty of awards during my tenure there. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you for breaking that down. to you, the listener, when we're sharing these personal stories, there's gems in it. Like, so what I learned from that story is, just make sure that you have a likable personality. I'm not saying be like a pushover or like a kiss, the other word. Like, I'm not saying be, how do I say, like brown nosing. I'm not none of that. But, just have a pleasing personality, and make sure you get along with people, or learn to get along with people. Again, I'm not saying you got to be a yes man and all of that, or you got to like everybody, but it would benefit you if you learn strategically to get along with people and be courageous. That's what I gathered from your personal story with, those are the gems. And thank you for answering my questions.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
There we go. Please continue to subscribe, like, share, all of that. Peace and power. Raw success. Check out our other videos too.
Peace.